Okay everyone, it is time for the season finale vlog of 2021 for my racing season. As you may have seen in the last episode, it covered the August Autobahn and Blackhawk rounds, and then this vlog, as I said previously, is going to cover the final round of the season. And what I'm going to do is a similar format to the last episode, where I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about the weekend, and then I'm going to cut to the footage that I filmed throughout the race weekend so you can kind of see my reactions when they're fresh. And then I'll do a recap at the end. And since this is the last one that covers the racing season, I'm going to talk a bit about the season as a whole, my goals, my accomplishments, things I'm really proud of, thank a lot of people for sure, and also talk a little bit about what I have planned for next season. So, with that being said, let's talk a little bit about the last round. So the last round is formatted where it was going to be a practice day on Friday, and then sprint races on Saturday and Sunday, with the ASVRA sprints being added in to the last round. So we had qualifying for ASVRA on Saturday, and then the race itself was going to be on Sunday, which I always look forward to because I always love the ASVRA sprints where we get to do the qualifying and then the race. I always think that's a lot of fun. So Friday started off pretty well. I was looking forward to doing a little bit of fine-tuning just to get things really set for the last round with Joe, my suspension guy, and my tire guy. Unfortunately, he ran into a little bit of trouble, but things all worked out. Needless to say, it just changed up the schedule for me for the day, but I was still able to accomplish most of what I'd set out to for the practice day to set myself up well for the races. And the races went really well. I don't want to spoil too much, but had an awesome end of the season. I'm really, really proud of it, really happy about it, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with everybody. So without further ado, here we go. All right, let's recap the race weekend. Went into the weekend with clear goals of I wanted to win both the Super Sport races. I wanted to dip into the 16s. And I was at the point where, last round, I'd be happy to just see a couple 16.8s, 16.9s. Be totally fine with that. Just want to get a couple in. And I basically want to change up my pace from like being comfortably in the 17s to low 18s to low 17s to some 16s. And I don't remember what the orders of the races, but I think, I do remember. GT was the first race of the day. It was still a little cooler in the morning, but I knew roughly where I could run time-wise, and I knew once I get into a race I should be able to pick that time up a little bit more. So what I did was, I didn't get a great start, but I ended up behind Todd Murray on his Ducati, and just did my best to stick with him the whole race. Got separated some in traffic. I was running some mid-17s, which I was really happy about. Got some 18s in there through traffic, and then when I got through traffic, I just put my head down, was really consistent, smooth, working on some things, just working on that consistency as always, and I ended up dropping to a new PB, new personal best of a 17.1, so I figured that was a great way to start off the day. And I know I had a couple other races after that before Super Sport, and I don't recall how those races went offhand, but I think they went okay. I was still in the mid to low 17s. And then I went out for Super Sport and noticed there was an Aprilia RS660 on track. So I thought, great, I get to race an RS660, a bike that's got 30 or so more horsepower than mine. It's probably lighter. It's Italian, whatever that means. But I was eager to see how I do against it, and I got out to an early lead. I will say though, on the opening lap, I did make a big mistake into the bus stop, and I basically blew the bus stop, ran wide, and then I made another mistake a couple laps later, getting through some lap traffic. So with that being said, the guy on the RS660 caught me, and we had a pretty good battle, and by that I mean I caught up to him in certain spots, and I tried to show him a wheel in a couple places, but I just couldn't get the job done. So I ended up second in that race, but the good thing about that race is I broke into the 16s. I ran 16.8 and 16.9, so hit that goal, and I hit that time a couple more times in the races at the end of the day, which is cool. The last two races of the day, I made a couple mistakes because I was trying to push too hard and trying to force it, and I was running third until the last, few hundred yards before the straight, or before the finish line on the straight, and then Shannon was able to get by me both those times. I still felt like I rode a decent race, but I know I could do better than I did. So I took things for what they were. I was happy I broke in the 16s, but I knew I could do better, which is good, because I knew I had obviously time left. I knew I could be better with my racecraft. So I knew tomorrow was a new day. So Sunday, we had good weather again. The change-up that we had in the schedule was my Super Sport race was the second race of the day, so it wasn't going to be very warm yet. The track wasn't going to be completely up to temp.
We started racing earlier in the day too.
Yeah, we started racing early in the day. We started at 8:45 instead of 10 o'clock, which we did on Saturday. So the track temp was only about 80 degrees. I knew I could run in the teens at that pace, and the guy in the RS660 actually didn't show up for that race, which I was kind of bummed because I wanted a chance to try and beat him straight up, rectify and redeem myself from yesterday or the day before. And but I went out and I wanted to see just kind of what times I could throw down in those conditions where the track wasn't quite up to temp. And I just ran a consistent race. I started out in the low 18s and then ended up actually in the around the 17.8 range, so higher 17. So I was happy with that. Was able to pull out the win there. Just ran consistent, ran smooth. So that was cool. And then we had Azra Thunderbike, which is a 10-lap race. I ended up qualifying second. I actually out-qualified the guy in the R660 by 5,000th of a second, which was pretty crazy. And yeah, I went out, and Jared Herbig and I got a pretty good launch. Jared got a little better launch than I did. I stuck with him through the first lap, second lap, and I was at the point I was like, oh, all right, I'm kind of sticking with Jared here, so let's see what we can do. And I just stuck with him as best I could through the whole race, and I ended up dropping my pace further. That race, I was pretty much in the mid-16s the whole race until the last couple laps, 16.5, 16.6. Last couple laps, I dropped off a little, one because I hit traffic, two because I could feel my tires starting to move around quite a bit, and I have my rear tire pressure set a bit too low. Yeah, I can't really contain I don't know how to express my excitement right now because I'm just, one, we're heading up to Road America because I'm control riding tomorrow, but I'm just, like, I could yell, I could scream, I could do nothing. I can't put it all into words. But yeah, the next two races, last two races of the day, I had lightweight superbike. I did my best to stick with Shannon, Jared, and Todd, but I just could not hang with them. I kept them in sight. I kept distance with them, but I made a mistake towards the middle of the race, and with them, like, if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, and I couldn't make up the gap. My starts were pretty good in most of the races. Todd Murray and I he may not know this, but I know we definitely made contact in lightweight GP, which is the race I was not ready for, because I throttled out as hard as I could coming out of one, and he was just offset to me, and I definitely felt part of his motorcycle on my foot. I don't know what part it was. Something on the front, I know that much. I felt like a fork leg. but I haven't felt a lot of motorcycle parts with my foot before.
In a race.
In a race. So I'm not really sure. But yeah, fast forward to the last race of the day. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping around, but things are coming back to me as I'm talking. Last race of the day was ultralight superbike, and I knew it was probably going to come down to Shannon and I in that race, because that's what happened the day before, and I got second in that race. And I got a terrible start in the race. Shannon got a great start, and it was like me, Kyle Himes, and Tyson were all like 3 wide going into 1. And when I say wide, I don't mean that at all, because we were all closing in very, like, going into a small space together. And I was able to just stay ahead of Tyson, and I was able to get a good run around the outside of Kyle, and I stayed just enough ahead of him, or just next to him enough, where I was on the inside going into 2, so I was able to hold that. And then I just was trying to put my head down to try and catch Shannon. So first lap clicked off, and the second lap clicked off, and I noticed I was closing in, and I got a good run out of 5. She went in a little shallow, and I just decided, you know what, I know she's got more horsepower than me on the straights, on the back straight, but let's see if I can, you know, shore a wheel and make kind of a block pass and maybe throw off her drive a little bit. I was able to get in, and I just flowed as best as I could through the corner and got on the gas as soon as I could. And she came back by me on the front straight, and I was able to outbrake her into 1. And then it was on like Donkey Kong after that. I put my head down and ran as hard as I could consistently. That was my biggest thing, is I knew I could run a good pace, but I wanted to make sure I could do it consistently. And I pretty much lived in like the 16.8, 16.9 range the whole race. Like, that is the most consistent race I've ever had, and I'm usually pretty good at being consistent. This race, I kicked that up a notch, because all my times, I think, were within less than 0.2. It was within like a 1/10, I think, because all my lap times are a 16.8 or 16.9. Lap 2 or 3, I think I ran identical lap times. I ran like a 16.923 or something. But yeah, I did my best to just stay consistent. The last lap, I saw a lapper ahead of us, and I caught them right going into 6, and I was able to time it perfectly, where I drove out of 6 and got them in between 6 and 6 silo, and then I just had my head down, fingers crossed, praying. When I got into the front straight, I put my head down, and Ike was running gaps for me, and Frank, actually. They were both running gaps for me, and Ike was giving me the thumbs up, so I knew I had just enough of a gap to win the race. And I got pumped earlier this year when I won some races, and when I won, I remember last year, and I got emotional, and I was really pumped in June when I won that Super Sport race after doing all the bike rebuilds. And I was fine until we got through turn 5 on the cooldown, and I could tell I was getting emotional again, because I couldn't believe what I just did, because that was like probably the best race I've had so far in my racing career, and it was crazy. You know, Shannon's a very fast rider, very capable rider, and I really wanted to try and redeem myself for yesterday. And after I did those 16s and Azra, you know, I wanted to make sure I could replicate and get back into those 16s again. And I did, and I was really happy. And I don't know what else to say other than that, because yeah, I'm very happy, because I know Natalie's relieved, because once she saw that I even did 16s on Saturday, she knew the car ride home was not going to be bad. I still was a little irked on Saturday because I didn't win that Super Sport race, because I knew I could beat that guy on that Aprilia, beat that RS660. just knowing what I could do myself. And I was able to do it in Azra, because he was in Azra Thunderbike with us, and I was able to keep him behind. So that felt like a big accomplishment, because those bikes are fast. And I didn't get a chance to go talk to that rider, but it was his first time at Blackhawk, and he was doing pretty darn good for his first trip to Blackhawk, which is what he told me after Super Sport. And yeah, he was moving pretty good. But yeah, we're gonna be off to Boston in a couple days. So Natalie's also relieved that I'm not just gonna be a depressing, miserable pain in the butt the whole time, just being like, man, if only I'd done this in this race, or if I wish I could have done this or that. And now at least she won't have to worry about that. Okay, well, there you have it. That is recap of my final round. And before I get into all my thank yous and concluding everything from the season, I do have to talk a little bit more about that last race. As I said in the video, I got emotional when I was on my cooldown lap, and then when I got into the pits, I knew I had to compose myself a little bit because I had an interview quick with Kenny, and then I rode back to the pit area, and you know, a lot of my friends and Natalie, they were all standing around and cheering me on. And as soon as I saw Natalie, I could just tell all the emotions just flooded back again. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna throw in the clip of my GoPro footage from my bike when I pulled back in the pits, and you'll be able to kind of hear, you know, Natalie telling me that I won and me saying I know. But the thing you can't probably really hear on the video is, like, in that moment, I was definitely crying. And I'll also add in some photos that my good buddy Gerard got of that moment, which is probably one of my most favorite photos I have of all my racing, of Natalie and I, where, you know, I've got my head down on the tank with my helmet on, and she's giving me a hug. And yeah, that was just that's what I can say, that was like a perfect moment that he captured. So that was really cool, because it really just summed up how much work was put into everything, and how much heart and how much emotion and how much that really meant to me. And also for her too, you know, my win is her win. So we win together and we lose together, and I couldn't do what I do without her. And that moment was just perfect. I don't know what else to say about it. So I'll throw that clip in now and scroll through a couple of the photos, and like I said, then I'll come back and we'll do a quick conclusion, talking about everything, and we'll go from there. So enjoy.
Good job, man.
Woohoo! You did great.
Yeah, just Photoshop me out.
You won, babe.
I know. Oh.
Good job, man.
Oh my God. All right. So yeah, that was a little clip of just some of that raw emotion after the race win, and I really wanted to share that with everybody, just especially for those who aren't really into the racing or trying to find out more about it, just to kind of see. And I would say maybe my reaction's a little atypical about, you know, getting emotional after win, but everybody in the paddock we all put in that work, and that's what equity, and we all put our hearts into it, and that's what makes the motorcycle racing community, track community, everything all very tight-knit, and it really is just like a family. And what I'll say with that is, there's more I could probably say about that moment, how everything that happened, but I don't know how to put all of it into words. So to keep myself from just babbling on about that, I guess I'll just kind of leave it at that. But that really is just a good example of that, just that pure love and sportsmanship and just all the emotions. It was just perfect. So with that being said, well, the season ended up very well. Like the last round, as you can tell, went very well for me. I'm very happy, very proud of that. And the goals for the season, mainly my only goal really was to just work on my racecraft and improve my overall pace. And I checked those boxes, so I was really happy with that. The consequence of that consistency, that improvement, was I was able to win some championships, finish pretty well in the overall standings, and I'll list those at the end quick. But again, that's not really was my main goal for the season. And I always tell people a lot of the reason I race is really, it's like 70% of it's really just you're hanging out with your friends. That's really the big reason why I love coming to the track, is hang out with my track family, and the racing is just like a huge bonus. So with that being accomplished for the season, what's going on for next season? I'm not going to be doing quite as much CCS as I did this season, and I'm finally going to be making my Moto America debut, fingers crossed, in the Twins Cup. So we're going to go with Road America for the first round, since it's my home round and I live super close. And then we're going to try and throw another round or two in there, so stay tuned for that. We'll have more info on that later. And right now, just been doing kind of a reset in the off season. I've torn the bike down, built it back up, went through everything, placing any parts that I need to. Been working on the Moto America bike as well, so we can get that ready for testing in February at Jennings for our annual trip. So we're doing that. But like I said, Moto America, I'm going to do some CCS. Might see if I can fit some Wira in. There's some mini moto racing that goes on at the kart track over at Road America. I want to do that. Of course, I'll still be control riding and coaching for MotoVid, which I'm super happy about because I love riding and getting more people into the sport and just sharing that experience with everybody. Yeah, and goals for next season, one, obviously just going to be make the grid for Moto America and the Twins Cup, have a good showing there. If I could somehow score in the top 15 at one of the rounds, I'd be over the moon for that. We'll see how that pans out. Always obviously continuing to improve my racecraft, my overall pace, and I do know I still need to kind of improve on my consistency and getting in those situations where I try forcing it and pushing it. So just working on that mental aspect of everything. The one nice thing, especially with the pace that I had at the end of the season, is when I was running those times, I didn't feel like I was pushing. I just felt like I was riding, and that's really what we all try and aim for. And that felt really good to have that and really learn and improve from that standpoint. So with that being said, I would really like to thank all of my sponsors for their support this season. I know it sounds cliche, and I know we all say it, but I really could not have done everything that I did without all of their support. So Scorpion helmets, Vrester brakes, Knockaround sunglasses. Was really happy to get a sponsor kind of outside the motorcycle industry and introduce them into the sport, so that was really cool. And I will be continuing on with Knockaround for 2022, so you'll see me rocking more of their sunglasses, and I'll have codes and maybe some fun giveaways throughout the season, so stay tuned for that stuff. But GB Racing, crash protection, it's been money. I haven't had to use it too much this season, but always love their stuff, always love using their stuff, and I'm going to continue to do so next season. Vortex, sprockets, chains, clip-ons, tire warmers, really great products there. Glad to have them this season. High Flow Filtro for all my oil filters. Forma boots, love my Forma boots, love all the designs. Gonna be rocking them again next season. Cycle Gear, and then of course Motivid, Tytler's Motor Union. I've really enjoyed, as always, being able to coach and control ride and be a part of that program and get me more people out into the sport and get more involved. So I'm looking forward to increasing that and continuing on with that next season. And then of course, I have to thank my number one, my better half, Natalie. And of course, all my friends, my track family. I could literally name off pretty much the whole paddock, but just gonna name a few people quick. You know, Anthony, Frank, Ike, Joe from Turn 1, with all the Bridgestone tires and all the suspension, help and support this season. Couldn't have done it without you. Jermaine, Gerard, Kevin, Wyatt, Ange, Kevin G, his dad, all his family there hanging out at Brainerd was a ton of fun. You know, Anthony, Mario, the whole Kano gang, Andy, and everybody else. You know, Tyson, Mark, Jared, Terry, all my whole lightweight racing fam too. Love riding with you guys. Shannon, Guy, Kevin, everybody. You guys make racing what it is. You make this so enjoyable, and it's always a pleasure, always an honor to line up with you guys and to hang out in the paddock and everything else. So, with that being said, really happy with how my 2021 season turned out. I really want to thank all of you for checking out the videos. I know I'm just some random club guy doing his thing racing, but all the views, all the comments, and everything mean a lot to me. And I'm going to continue to do the videos. Again, I apologize, things got kind of delayed towards the end of the season. Things just really picked up in a way I wasn't expecting. And I'm going to continue on with that, like I said. So please let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see, because I want to just try and keep doing these videos because they're a lot of fun for me to share everything. And I've gotten good feedback on them so far, whether it's questions on my racing or gear that I'm using or just anything in general. Always happy to help out, always happy to talk. So with that being said, I'm going to continue the prep for Moto America. I've got a couple videos in mind during the off season, so please stay tuned for those. And thanks again, and check the next video out soon.